Hello and welcome to the Powerful Marketing Tips podcast. This is where we empower marketers. I am your host, Marilis Vaher, and today we are diving into a topic that so many of our listeners have been actually asking about. So it's Amazon in 2025 and how to win on Amazon, right? My guest today is Pasha Knish, CEO of AMZ Optimized, and he is an expert in helping businesses unlock Amazon's full potential for profit and growth. And here's the fun twist. As I am launching my book this fall, I thought we would make part of this episode maybe a live mini consultation, because I will ask Pasha how he would approach setting up my book on Amazon for maximum visibility. And I also know many of our Powerful Marketers Hub members are active on Amazon. So this episode is going to be packed with gold for them too. I hope so. Pasha, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Very well. Thank you, Marilis. I'm excited to speak with you.
Thank you. We are very glad to have you here with us today. Now, before we start, a quick heads up for you, our dear listener. As I said, the brand new book, The Greatest Marketer, is launching fall 2025, and you can get a sneak peek at thegreatestmarketer.com right now. Plus, make sure to stay until the end here today, because I will share a keyword you can use to unlock your 1 month for free access to the Powerful Marketers Hub. But okay, Pasha, please tell us, how did you first get into Amazon consulting? What drew you into this space even?
It happened by accident. I was in college. We had some side hustles that we were doing just to make a little extra money. Still living with my family. This was some years ago. And we just started selling on eBay. And then we were just selling generic stuff. This is before the Alibaba being like a public company and everybody knowing about e-commerce. We didn't know much about it. And then one of us started, eBay is great, but let me try a different platform. And somebody tried Amazon and started telling everybody else. We were kind of like in a little group of mini entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, and we started selling on Amazon. And we decided, okay, what happens if we find a product that we like, that seems like it's successful? We didn't have that many tools back then. This was 2011. And we just found the product, put a label on it, and started selling it. And it was going well. And then we started sending some Google ads. You didn't have any attribution. You didn't have any data tracking. You just saw that the listing was growing. So we started selling more and more. And then eventually I was the first one to say, guys, we were in our last semester of college at that time. And I just said, I think I'm going to leave college and forfeit my degree and just focus on this Amazon business. And they were like, no, you're crazy. Our families are all telling us we have to graduate and we have to do, I was like, okay, but let me give it a shot. Worst case scenario, I'll come back, I'll get the degree and I'll continue on with the plan. Right. And I left and productivity went up, obviously, in the company. And then after, a couple of months, my partners did the same exact thing. And so the three of us, we got an office space and we just started working full time on the Amazon business, and it was a great success. And then I exited at that point and started another brand, but the second brand didn't grow as fast because it was already at that point, 2016, some years have gone by and people started, it got more competitive. And so in the meantime, I said, okay, all of the money that I was putting into this business were just being recycled. And, I have to keep investing. That's how it goes. So I decided to do a little bit of work on the side just to pay the bills. And I started doing freelancing, and I realized that I'm actually great at building teams and building strategies. And it was actually super interesting for me to be exposed to multiple different categories and different sellers and different personalities, working with different people. And I really enjoy that process. I also discovered that I'm not maybe myself the greatest writer or the greatest graphic designer, so I couldn't do a lot of the things. So naturally I said, I can handle this project, but I might need a little bit of help. So I started getting a couple other freelancers that I knew from the space. Hey, you want to write a listing for me? Hey, you want to do some graphics? And next thing I know, I'm taking on full service projects and I'm, gathering a few different people. And little by little, I've been kind of growing this company. So I founded the agency that I have right now in 2019. And so we're on year 7 now, and we offer a full suite of services specifically designed for Amazon. And at this point, we already have, an ads team, a content team, operations team, account managers, and all that. So it's been a fun journey. And it all started for me just, kind of dabbling in e-commerce years back. And you just go down the rabbit hole.
So learning by practice is the best thing that can happen to you, right?
Yeah, it's the best and the worst because you make a lot of mistakes and you have
Yeah,
to, lick your wounds.
yeah, exactly. But it was back to like 2011, you said. So you have
Hmm.
been in Amazon over almost 14 years.
Yes, that's right.
Oh my God, that's great. So, but what types of businesses do you usually work with today? Is it more small brands, corporations, or somewhere in between?
I haven't spent a lot of time working with larger enterprise companies. It's really been the
Mhm,
small to medium sized business. And that's who I feel best working with because it's these people who are looking for a way to, first of all, freedom, financial freedom. But second of all,
mhm,
a lot of these companies, they have come up with a product that is a great solution. And it feels nice to be able to bring that to the world and be kind of like a matchmaker between customers who are looking for better solutions, oftentimes to improve the lives of their families, through different products. And the same thing,
mhm,
these companies are putting a lot of effort into research and development and these inventions and patents and things like that, and they want to put it out into the world. So we do work with smaller brands, and then
mhm,
we also work with 7 and 8 figure companies that are more established, and Amazon is just one facet of their business, but they also have D2C and Shopify presence and on the radio and on
mhm,
social
mhm.
media. They do multiple different things, so we help in that case too. But I love working with the smaller businesses that really are looking to grow on the platform because Amazon is a place where people come to be exposed. There's so much visibility there, and it doesn't have to be
Mhm.
your number one driver of profit, but because you're there and you're showing up correctly in the places that you need to be, that is one thing that can really help in the whole e-commerce ecosystem, you can say, to just kind of grow the brand and sustainability of the brand.
And it sounds very logical because you have already audience there, so you don't need to build your own platform and gather your own audience, right?
Right. Yeah. And it's interesting sometimes when a brand exists out there in the world, social media, and they have their website, you can actually
Mhm.
type in the keyword of their brand name into Amazon and see that people are searching because it has like some suggested fields that drop, right?
Ah.
But they might not even be selling there. And so often people make listings, they're not even the authorized brand to make the listing in the first place, but they're reselling it. And so you'll be surprised how many companies are just leaving money on the table by simply not even being there, like even having like a basic setup.
Mhm. Oh, that's really good. But from your perspective, does success on Amazon depend on a lot on what you sell, or are there like rules or strategies, which are fairly universal across products?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of both. First of all, definitely there has to be a market fit for your product.
Mm-hmm.
Not every product sells well. And I think also the days of just slapping a label on some generic item from China or wherever
Mm-hmm.
is very difficult to do that these days. You really have to come up with a solution for a real problem. And a lot of times that's also, it comes with a price. And so it's not necessarily that you have to be the cheapest offer, but you have to be reasonably priced for the quality that you're selling. And you
Mm.
also, sometimes you'll be surprised that inventions and things that are too new don't do very well because there's nothing to grasp on, right? People are not
Mm-hmm.
searching for your solution. So you sort of have to show up on a listing or product pages or keywords that are similar to the thing that you're trying to sell. So being too unique can sometimes hurt you and you have to carve out your niche and it takes a little time to educate people. But being too similar also can hurt you because there's too much competition and oftentimes the manufacturers are selling it at the lowest price. So you can never compete with them on price. So I feel like you have to be somewhere in the middle where you're offering something that's really solving a problem. You have good quality. It's similar to other products out there, but maybe there's something that stands out about it. So a great
Mm-hmm.
example and a great exercise to go through for somebody who's listening who wants to even get started is there's plenty of tools out there. I'm not going to name all of them, but you can, with a quick Google search, you can find out what they are. And you can use a couple of these tools to do a little keyword research into what, first of all, has search volume. And then also look at the listings that are selling under that keyword and look at their negative reviews. What are people complaining about? What are the issues with the product? And then try to see if you can solve those problems that people are complaining about
Mm-hmm.
on the negative reviews and do it in a way that is cost effective. So you're not going to make the product become significantly more expensive by adding this feature that will solve the problem that people are complaining about. And so, all of these things. And usually that means trying to think outside the box, manufacturing in places maybe not in China, or working with a studio that can help you design a solution with these AI tools right now. There's a lot of opportunities to be very creative and come up with, expedited solutions. and expedited ways to test things. So
Mhm.
I think there's still a lot of opportunity in the market. It's just about finding your sub niche.
That's very good what you just shared with me. I'm doing my notes, so I'm sorry I'm confused because I wanted to write it all down. I have so many questions now. So, keyword research, very good. I understand this is something you do before you actually start, I don't know, launching your products on Amazon, right? But what else for someone who wants to start selling on Amazon? What are the very first and most critical steps here? Because I know that you can help us.
Yeah. Yeah. So as I mentioned, step one, find the keywords that make sense, right? The ones that
Mm-hmm.
have high search volume and
Mm-hmm.
low to medium competition. So
Mm-hmm.
that gap is slowly closing, but there's always opportunity for it because there's the whole world is your oyster, right? Like people are very like up until recently, people have been mostly sourcing from China. And
Mm-hmm.
that has, with tariffs and a lot of competition and different things and Chinese sellers, that I don't believe that it's the only opportunity anymore. I think people are starting
Mm-hmm.
to realize that you can source in other places in Asia. You can source out of Africa or South America or, Eastern Europe or all parts of Europe. So it's more difficult to work with different places in some cases because maybe the infrastructure or the cultural communication,
Mm-hmm.
but you can get a broker that can help you. But coming back to your question, if you start with the keyword research, you find and identify some kind of a sub niche that you want to go after, then you're
Mm-hmm.
finding a way to solve a problem that people actually have. And you might discover this not through the reviews, but simply through something. And most of the time, that's how inventions happen, right? Out of necessity. Something in your own
Mm-hmm.
life that you're like, man, I wish, I'm constantly running outside with my dog to go pee. He has to go pee. And then he comes in all muddy and I have to wipe his paws every single time. I'm going to come up with this invention that I'll stick his paw in there and it'll clean it and dry it. That's something that I came up with because I had to clean my dog every 2 hours, right? So that's something I could have pursued if I had a huge budget for research and development and robotics and all of that, which I don't, but that's just an example. So you can go through that exercise and just identify something that you want to go for that you feel like can be reasonably priced. You make communication with a few different suppliers. There's a lot of different ways to find them. You can find them yourself. You can work with a broker or a matchmaker, this kind of logistic solution people. There's a lot of different companies that offer that, are freelancers. And then from there, you order some samples, you see what works, right? And then where we come in is we help with the design of the content of the listing page, the storefront page, helping to get established on the platform with all the brand registry and everything you need, get the initial reviews through the Vine program, get all of the infographics and A+ content, which are, basically this is where your conversion happens. Like it's your digital shelf, right? So, people can't pick up the product and look at it in their hand. They can only see it visually. So how you design the detail page is extremely important as an initial step after, of course, having the real product that can be for sale. And then at that point, it's just about consistently advertising it and offering it in a way where you're connecting with people who are most relevant to buy your product. And stay in stock and be ready for holidays and do little, coupons and discounts and different things like that. And so that consistency over time eventually will lead to success, but it takes time and it takes investment.
So you just listed a lot of different expertise that, along the way, I mean, optimizing for Amazon, working with listings, copywriting, etc. So how big team you should have to start selling on Amazon?
Well, if you're only doing one product, you can get a couple freelancers here and there or work with an agency if you want to.
Okay.
But if you want to, do it all yourself, that's where it's tricky, right? And a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
they don't have the expertise. Luckily with AI, you can get a step ahead and do a lot yourself. It's much easier now, right? You can try to, say, you can prompt the system to say, write me an Amazon listing, including this list. You get a free tool, do some keyword research, you download the research, you plug it into one of these AI tools like GPT or Gemini or whatever. And you say, okay, here's my keywords. Make sure that it's included in this listing. It's for Amazon. And then you have your listing content there. And then you say, okay, now make me some infographics. Here's maybe like some photo shoots, or you hire a 3D render artist to get you like your hero shot, which is on a white background. And then you say, okay, plug this product in to an image of somebody, if it's a dog leash, you say, okay, picture of somebody walking in the park with their dog using this leash, and see if you can get a decent image, and then say, okay, put these infographics over it or put these words over it that highlight these unique selling points. So
Mm-hmm.
you kind of go through the process. There's a little bit of learning. There's a lot of free education out there. In most cases, you work with a company to save yourself time and to
Mm-hmm.
save yourself the headache of learning. Because sometimes
Mm-hmm.
also there's issues with compliance and Amazon doesn't like something, so they flag you and you go back and forth. So there's also these kind of like unforeseen things that happen with Amazon. So if you work with a partner, then you might have a little bit of help to navigate some of this, or just work with a consultant or a strategist that knows some freelancers, kind of entry level stuff, right? And then as you progress and you have more budget, then you can work with a bigger company that can really just kind of take you to the next level.
So it sounds reasonable to hire someone to start, allowing you to save time and resources, as you mentioned, right? But could you share, I don't know, a practical example of someone who started the right way and how that made a difference in their results?
Sure. Yeah, we have lots of different cases, and each case is a little bit different. I have experiences myself or clients that I've worked with.
Mm-hmm.
So following the blueprint that I just mapped out, that's my blueprint because I've seen that that's typically the process that works. But I'll
Mm-hmm.
also say that even myself, I've launched in the last few years 4 brands, and only one of them is still alive today. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually in the process of trying to actually sell it. But the other 3, they failed, and they all failed for different reasons. So, and honestly, I focus more on why they failed versus why the one that it isn't a failure, why it works. Because I work with clients all the time that they have successful businesses, and I see that they're doing all the right things, mostly because they're not just focusing on Amazon, by the way, to grow their company. Amazon is a platform. It's not the only thing. And if you're relying too much on Amazon, then you put yourself at a disadvantage because,
Mm-hmm.
they can deactivate your account and your whole business is done, right? I'm not saying that happens, but they can do whatever they want. You want to have some ownership as well. So it's a tool and it's not the main. You have to build an ecosystem. You have to build a brand. You have to, do social media and D2C and get
Mm-hmm.
exposure aside from having a partner that'll help you on the platform. But focusing on why I failed, there's things with logistics that happened, things with insurance that you have to have good insurance to make sure that if something happens, like one of my businesses, the 3PL, the storage facility, lost all my inventory. And then my partner became discouraged from wanting to operate the business because all of our inventory was gone. So there was no
Wow.
reinvestment. So we lost 30, 40K worth of inventory. We
Oh
couldn't
my
do
God.
anything because we had no insurance. They said, oh, go to your insurance. We didn't have, because it was a child's product. It was
Mm-hmm.
$6,000 for the first year of insurance. So we said, oh, first batch of product, it's okay. Another thing happened where we had a product design that was very similar to another product design out of Canada. And this Canadian company issued a Supreme Court filing against myself and 40 other sellers and wiped out all of his competition in one shot on Amazon. And we couldn't fight back because it was very expensive to go to court about this same thing, failed. And then another one was, I went into a category that's another thing is very important, is the timing of it. So you do your keyword research, you determine that there's an opening in the market, you go into
Mm-hmm.
R&D, you spend too long in R&D. By the time you get to the market, that opportunity has closed. Somebody else or many others have seen the same opportunity as you because the data is public if you know how to look. And by the time we went to market, we couldn't break through. There was just not enough budget to push with the marketing. And at some point we had to cut it off. So I think you have to see something, move quickly, and break things along the way, as they say. And yeah, you have to try a lot of different things. Like it's very competitive these days. So the only way to do it, there's no get rich quick on e-commerce. You really have
Mm-hmm.
to invest time and effort and move efficiently. And that's another reason why getting help is important, especially if you have a consumable product that's going to expire. You don't have time to waste, and you actually might make it a lot more expensive for yourself to make these mistakes. They can cost you a lot more other ways. Meanwhile, your product is expiring or opportunities closing in your niche. So you have to move quickly.
So progress over perfection.
100%. Yeah.
Okay, I love it. But how about the businesses that, let's say, already selling on Amazon, maybe even growing 10 or 20% year over year, but now they want, real breakthrough growth. What's the, I don't know, most critical thing they need to focus on if they are already there?
Yeah, efficiency with advertising. And so there's a couple different tools that we have for that. And you can always scale advertising in different ways. I think there's a couple key metrics that you have to keep in mind. And this is always the trade-off, where do you want revenue or do you want profit? And sometimes you have to trade, in the short term, you have to trade a little bit of your profits so you can get that revenue. And in the process of getting revenue, you're getting rank. And rank means organic ranking. And if you have a consumable product, then you can have subscribe and save. So you get subscriptions, which help you in the long run, right? It helps your average order value and helps your organic sales by having those subscriptions. So essentially, there's an investment that you need to make at some point where if you want to move to the next level, you have to cut back a little bit on your profits to grow the revenue. And this is all done through advertising. That's the vehicle, because advertising is a way to grow the rank. So that's one thing. Another thing is, if there's a way that they can make internal changes to improve their cost of goods, or a simple answer is simply expand to a different country. You can, if you're a US seller, you can expand into the EU, try that, see how the EU market picks up. You'll actually be surprised that many sellers in the US, majority of them don't sell anywhere except the US. And so there might be a huge gap of opportunity in the EU, even if you sell it at a higher price to offset the cost of VAT or whatever it is. Another easy way is expand your catalog. If you can make new products that are adjacent or very similar to the products that you already sell, you can cross-promote using advertising. You can even add it into the same variation family, so you immediately get exposure. So let's say you have a very successful listing. For example, myself, I sell shampoo, right? And I sell original scent and I lemongrass scent. And I release a new shampoo that's for dry hair or oily hair. And I attach it to the same listing that already has all this visibility. Those new listings, even though they're brand new and they don't have any search history and they're technically new to Amazon, because I've attached them to the same variation family, they call it, right? It immediately, through the advertising, people immediately see it and they can click on it and they can buy it. So having catalog expansion is an easy one. So there's a couple of these different things. Most of the time we don't advise on the logistics part or the product expansion part, because that's something that is a wider business decision from the brand owner. Usually they inform us and they kind of are aware of this. In most cases, our partners rely on us for helping with scaling advertising using either Amazon's native system or something called DSP, which is a programmatic type of advertising that allows you to use Amazon's data and advertise off of the platform and bring them back onto the platform. So bringing new to brand customers or targeting existing customer bases and offering them similar products so we can cross promote.
Well, that's very good. And you mentioned AI briefly, and I know Amazon has rolled out AI tools as well. And I also know that you're hosting an event about it later today, actually. But when it comes to the, listings and everything you talk about, should sellers think about optimizing and writing copy and content for humans or for AI?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there's kind of a both answer right now, especially with the way things are moving. I think right now people, the way that they shop is, hey, I have this thing that I need, and hey, AI, could you help me to find it? And so if you're not optimizing for AI, then you're kind of, it's like SEO 2.0. It's the same thing. It's just a more advanced search engine, essentially, right? And the way Amazon is changing their algorithm is they're moving over to intent-based search. So that's the whole AI discussion in our Amazon world, is that moving from keyword-based intent to, keyword-based search to intent-based search. And what that really means is just making sure, in a very simple way, there's probably 15 questions that you have to make sure that your listing is answering, because that is what the system is going to query against your listing to answer those questions. And so if you're not answering those questions clearly, then the system will not pick you up. My presentation later today, I'm demonstrating a tool that we're right now researching and building internally. Right now it's version 2 and it's still very clunky and you still have to download and upload all these like spreadsheets. So not everybody loves to use it. But we're working right now to engineer V3, which just makes it seamless and just connect to your account and pull all the information that it needs. But essentially, it's pointing to the fact that the backend data that you're putting into your listing is now becoming equally as important as what is shown in the front. What's shown in the front is one way that the intent-based algorithm is learning and reading from the information, but also it's looking at how you're categorizing it in the backend with all the additional fields and additional classifications. Because at the end of the day, Amazon is just a ginormous Excel sheet and it just has tons of information. And this robot is just sifting through all this data to come up with the perfect thing for the right person at the right time based on the information that they have on this customer and just matching everything together. So you have to put all the information in the back end as much as you have to put in the front end, but the back end information, you have certain valid queries that it wants from you, and you don't always know what they are, and you don't always know which ones are making the most sense. And basically, we're building a tool to help you to do that without needing to sit there and do this very tedious job.
That's that's very good. So I hope that we can add next to this episode a link to somewhere where people can sign up to your events you're hosting, similar what you are hosting today. I'm sure you have them in the future as well, right?
Yes, every month we do a webinar. I have a podcast weekly. You can just find me on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
You'll see all the info there. Just Pasha Knish on LinkedIn.
Okay, very good. We'll add it here. So I don't believe myself too much in, quick wins, but maybe you have some Amazon, couple of quick, I don't know, low cost wins that any seller could try right now, or, some hacks, because I know that people want to hear about the tricks and hacks.
Yeah, I think a fun, tricky way, or, something like, yeah, it's hard to make money quickly, but I will say that before you go into R&D, because it's easy to use AI to test things
Mm-hmm.
and to know if something's going to work or not. You can gauge demand artificially using AI tools. So, for example, you can go on TikTok and open up a TikTok shop and try to sell a product there by advertising a product and setting up like a really simple web page using something like Lead Pages, right? That's like a tool that you can collect email addresses and put them on a waiting list. And you can basically use AI to build a landing page. I'm not going to go through all the technical details of how to do this, but you build a landing page with the concept that you're trying to sell, using AI to demonstrate it visually and textually what it is that you're looking to sell. And then you go on TikTok Shop and you try to advertise this page, and you might spend $500 on ads and see the demand. Are people signing up? What do people think about your wait list? Be the first to get this new thing, blah, blah, blah. And you can use this as a tool to basically test, is this concept even interesting to people in general? Is there demand? And then from there, it's like, oh, wow, this really blew up. Like, people are really interested in my solution to clean dog paws in 5 seconds using this machine, right? And then you say, okay, well, now this is giving me confidence to go and actually develop it and spend this money before I invest 30,000 into research. So this is one way that you can kind of save yourself a little bit of time. It's a bit of a hack. Otherwise, I mean, there's just not really there's no easy wins. Yeah.
I thought so. I didn't expect.
Yeah.
But that's a very good hack already, what you share, so that pretty much you can test if market
Yeah.
has the need for your product, right? That's very good. That's really good. But what about some, I don't know, biggest misconceptions or myths maybe that people still have about selling on Amazon?
Well, there's the polarities. The people either believe that Amazon is a place that you can just become like a very huge success, and you could be like the people that you see on the internet who like, I make $1 million a month selling on Amazon with these 3 tips, and it's like the tips are make a good listing, run good ads, and smile. No, so that's not gonna make you a millionaire. But then the other misconception is that, oh, by now everybody's done everything, and there's no way there's no opportunity for me. And I think this is also wrong, that there's always opportunity in the open market. You just have to be smart and think outside the box and do something different, because people always need things. This is just a fact of life, right? This is how capitalism and e-commerce and all of this works. So as long as you're coming up with solutions that people actually want, that are not just copycats of something else, even if there's a small difference, then you can still be successful. And you don't need a lot to be successful. You don't have to be a millionaire. You can have a decent business that grows slowly, and you can sell that business, and you can buy a house with it or invest into stocks, and you can grow your wealth that way. So it doesn't have to be this huge, massive win. But I mean, for many people, if you're earning $5,000 in profit per month, that could be life-changing. So to build a business that generates that kind of money isn't impossible. It'll take a little time. It'll take a little investment. But all the information and resources are out there for people.
No, that's good. So just do it. Start with something.
Yeah, learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's talk about books as well, because as I mentioned, I'm launching a book right now, The Greatest Marketer, this fall. And if you were setting this book up in Amazon, how would you maximize its visibility, or what are the things that we should keep in mind when we are launching books?
This weekend, I had one of my partners, one of my clients, actually say, "Hey, my wife is launching a book. Could you help me?" So I just went through this exercise to refresh my memory because I don't really
Okay.
work with books very often. But you caught me at a good time with this. So I sold books many years ago, and the book thing has changed a little bit just because back to the AI thing, there's a lot of noise out there.
Mhm.
I think that the strategy that always seems to work is to build authentic connections, similar to how you're doing right now. So you have visibility through this platform, right? Through the podcast, and people know who you are and they want to hear from you. Not necessarily going after random people on the internet, although they might discover it. I think having a pre-launch page is going to be important. So you can list on the platform and say, hey, this is going to be available in, let's say, 3 months on New Year's Day, right? And you can pre-order now. All those pre-orders are going to count as the first day that the book is launched. So even though you're collecting pre-orders for 3 months, this is all going to count as sales on day one. And so to be successful on a book launch, you want to have as much volume on the first, let's say, week or two. And then that'll determine how you rank. And if you can, do really well, then you can start rising on the charts. And then people from outside of your network will start to discover it, which is what you're really after. So in the beginning, you're really going after getting that type of pre-order or reviews or anything like that from the network that you already have through your podcast email list, or anybody that could buy it, leave you a review in the first week. So you need all that support. So really it's just about going after that launch date and trying to work your way into maximizing that first week. And that's really it. That's all it comes down to. So leverage your existing network, create an author page, make sure that the listing has all of the keywords. Again, back to the keywords thing, has good quote, share quotes from your book on social media, talk about your book launch and different events that you're doing, and just get the word out.
Now that's really good. And the way we have done it is that we have, the Powerful Marketers Hub, and we have our own community. And we also have this book launch club, meaning that there are people who are already reading chapters and giving me feedback. So I'm pretty sure and hopeful that they will support me during the pre-launch as well. So that's really good.
Sure.
But how about the, I know there's a audiobook versions as well. Not audiobook, I'm sorry. The
Kindle.
ebook.
Yeah.
Kindle. Yeah. So how about this? Should we use that or not? Your thoughts about Kindle.
Yes, I think that you should make it available in every format possible, whether it's Kindle or audiobook or hardcover or softcover or whatever you decide. You want to make it available in every format and have everything there on the listing so people can, whatever is comfortable for them.
That's really good. So do you look at clients like us, the ones who are launching books, or this is not your, let's say, expertise nowadays?
These days I don't, and the reason why is because most of the people who are launching books are doing it as a side project or hobby or passion, and it's just there's usually not enough budget there for that. So to work with our team, we have minimum contract of $2,800 per month, and so most of the authors that I've met don't want to pay that, and that's reasonable because they're not gonna generate enough revenue to offset that. So really, we're working with e-commerce and private label brands.
Can you walk us through how the collaboration with you looks like, so that people who are listening, they can, relate to that and maybe connect with you later on?
Yes, for sure. So with our service, we manage the whole operations and strategy. So you can give us user permissions and know that your listings are taken care of. We communicate with seller support. We advise on any kind of problems or questions that you might have. But the real meat and potatoes is we do all of the graphic, text, and video work. We do all of the advertising management and connect you with all the tools that you would need so you don't have to manage your subscriptions or pay for those subscriptions separately. And then we do daily checks on your listings and your account health to make sure you're in good standing, notify you when you need to restock. So we really run the whole Amazon engine for you and become a partner where you can meet up with us on a biweekly call that's on your schedule. And you know that we're going to show up. We're going to talk about how are we doing? What do we need to move forward? And you have everything covered. So that way you can take your mind off of Amazon and focus on other parts of your business.
So you can also give us advice about, insurance and the legal side, what we talked about earlier, right?
Yep.
No, that's really good. Yeah, go on.
I was going to say, yeah, and any kind of questions, we get all kinds of
Mhm.
questions depending on different stages of their business based on compliance or legality or any kind of strategy related or business setup related. And if there's something that we don't know, then we have a giant network of people that we can
Mm-hmm.
connect you with that could help.
I
So
love it.
that's the benefit of being in, being a service provider and connecting with other service providers. Like through my podcast, I've gotten connected with so many great people and learned so many different things. So at this stage, I'm confident that if there's something we can't solve, then we can put you in touch with someone that can solve it.
No, that's really helpful. Now,
Yeah.
Pasha, we always ask our guests for free quick shares. So, one inspiring quote that resonates with you, one song that motivates or grounds you. We will add it to our Spotify playlist of guest songs, right? And one this, clear call to action that a step that our listeners can take right now.
Okay. So with a song, I'm not really much of a kind of old country or rock listener these days, but there's a
Mm-hmm.
song that I really love. It's called Dust in the Wind by a group called Kansas. It's in a way it's a bit of a sad song, but it's you're asking about something that grounds me and anything that just kind of reminds you of the limited time that we have here on this planet. That at the end of the day, we're just kind of stardust, right? We're just a planet in the middle of this huge universe and we're just one person and we have this limited time. So really that just reminds me like, whatever you think that you're afraid of or whatever limitation that you think that you have, it's not real, or it's just something that you impose on yourself based on the limitations of your own mind or your own thinking or your own patterns or behaviors. So it's a reminder to just, always look beyond and make the
Mm-hmm.
most of this life because time is limited. So get out there and do something, do something that inspires you or excites you and connect with people. And yeah,
That's really inspiring.
in terms of quote, I guess something that's said a lot that comes to mind, and I really resonate with this is just work smarter, not harder. That's sometimes they say, "Oh, that's reserved for lazy people," but this there you go. Look at that, perfect.
this is this is something really, preached as well. Oh my
Yeah,
god. That,
there you go. So we're on the same page. I don't
and we
have to
didn't
explain it
talk
to you.
about this earlier,
No,
right?
no,
So I
no.
didn't ask you to say that.
No, we're on the same page. Work smarter, not harder, and you know all the reasons why. Because
Yeah.
it's not about being lazy; it's about being efficient. And
Mm-hmm.
if you have the time freed up to do one thing, then you can do something else with that time. So just because just because I have a shovel doesn't mean I shouldn't use the excavator. You know what I mean? If it's more right.
Yeah,
So um,
that's good. Well, thank you for saying that quote, especially. Okay. And one free, clear call to action that listeners can take right now today.
just get started. I'll be pretty
Mm.
general with that. Don't think about it too much. We get hung up on the details, as you mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
People let perfect get in the way of getting started, right? And so
Mm.
you can, if something is at 80%, it's good enough to go out there, get feedback. It's okay to
Mm-hmm.
tweak things as you go because I fell into that trap many times where, no, I have to make every detail perfect before it goes live. And we end up losing a lot of time and then the window of opportunity slips
Mm-hmm.
away. And so, like for example, I'm learning how to play the guitar, and sometimes I wouldn't play a song if I don't know it perfectly. But then there's times when I say, oh, you know what, I might miss a word or two, and I forgot the lyrics or I forgot the chord or whatever, but I'm just gonna try. And that
Mm.
relaxation you put yourself into actually makes the song sound much better, even if you missed. People don't even notice that, right? It's just the overthinking.
Yeah.
So you gotta just move.
Yeah, that's really inspiring again because other people don't usually know what you planned. So for
Hmm.
them, everything is like new thing.
Yeah,
It's only in
that's
your
right.
head, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So how would you like to wrap up today's episode for our listeners? I mean, maybe there's the thing you want to leave them with today. And if they want to connect you and learn more about your company, where can they find you?
Certainly, yeah. As I mentioned, just leaving with those last words of just try. Don't be afraid.
Mhm.
There's always the unexpected. So we deal with that. All people do. So it's good to just try and see what happens and where life can take you. If you have an Amazon business or if you have an e-commerce business and you want to get on the platform, then you can get in touch with me. Find me on LinkedIn, or you can there's a contact form that goes to me through my website amzoptimized.com. You can email me at pasha@amzoptimized.com. We have that free tool for Amazon sellers. You can go to amzbrain.ai. You can also check out my podcast, Agency Operators Podcast. So there's a million ways to get in touch. Yeah, I'm happy to talk to anybody about anything. And even if we don't work together, I love to spend time to meet new people. Yeah.
That is great. Pasha, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and practical Amazon tips, I would even say, with us today. And I really loved how you broke things down into clear, achievable steps that anyone can try. And it's not about being perfect, just do it, right? So the Amazon don't need to be overwhelming. Just start from somewhere.
That's right.
So thank you. Thank you for that. We will add all the links you mentioned next to this episode. So I will, if I don't find them myself, I will ask them from you.
No problem.
And for the listeners, don't forget the new book, The Greatest Marketer, is coming fall 2025. And you can already get a sneak peek at thegreatestmarketer.com website. And make sure to use the keyword podcast to claim 1 month free access to the Powerful Marketers Hub. So thank you for tuning in today. May you grow into the greatest marketer you can be. Thank you, Pasha, for joining us.
Thank you, Marilis. I appreciate it. I had fun.